Welcome to the Mushroom Game Tribunal. Nexon America has flagged a handful of filthy TP farming Demon Slayer abusers for suspicious behavior. You have been tasked with the job of determining whether or not to punish these players. You are to disregard the current iteration of Nexon's terms of service and focus solely on your moral compass. You are presented with the following players. Case 1. This player is using their own finger to TP farm. The finger is lifted manually every minute. Case 2. This player is using a small key weight to TP farm. The object could press the key simply with its own weight and with no additional pressure applied by the player. But in this case, the player maintains bodily contact with the object at all times with their finger. Case 3. This player is training using a prosthetic arm to TP farm. It's not their own flesh and blood per se, so one could argue that this is the equivalent of using a key weight as per the previous case. Case 4. This player is training using a foot pedal to TP farm. Some software has been used in order to assign the pedal press to a keyboard input. Case 5. This player is quadriplegic, but has been accepted to the latest clinical trial of Neuralink and has successfully undergone the insertion surgery. Inputs from this player are now being made via neural signals. Case 6. This player is training using a physical key weight while foregoing any bodily contact to the object. The player comes into contact with the object to manually release the input once every minute. Case 7. This player is training using software to auto-press the TP farming input. However, the key is manually released by the player once per minute. Case 8. Just like in the previous case, this player is training using software to auto-press the TP farming input. But this time, the key is automatically released and repressed by the software every minute. Case 9. This player is training using the service of a Latin American teenager to TP farm via remote access to their PC. At any point, their inputs can be manually overridden by the purchaser of the service. At some point, you may have become unsatisfied simply with the above descriptions. What about the player's attention? Even if there is a key weight being used, isn't it relevant whether or not they're paying attention to the game? And so just for you, we can extend these cases into an entire table of scenarios like this. The new axis goes as follows. A. Attention is focused on the game. B. Attention focused on a different monitor, game client within physical reach. C. Attention focused on a task unrelated to the PC, game client within physical reach. D. Attention focused on a task unrelated to the PC, game client outside of immediate physical reach but within vision. E. Attention focused on a task located physically far away from the PC, game client outside of immediate physical reach and outside of vision. So now, for example, if we combine case 9 with row E, the player is constantly focused on the game, albeit remotely, but the inputs to TP farm are not originating from the owner of the account. Or in the case of 1D, the player could be lying down in bed across the room from the PC, just with their keyboard next to their hand. Now, take a look back and see how many of these cases you've decided to punish. Let me know. I'm very curious to see what the general player base thinks. Thank you for your attendance in the Mushroom Game Tribunal.